Hey, friends. Oops, hang on here. Hang on. That is caught there. Okay, hang on. We are going to check that I am live. In fact, I am here. Hang on. Oh, it's telling me. Okay. I think I'm live now. Hang on. You know me, I'm double checking on my phone. I apologize for the late start. I thought I was going to take long. Okay, we are here. Okay, and you can hear me. Okay, I got my phone so I can see if anybody joins me because you know how Facebook doesn't play nice with that. Okay. All right. So I thought I was going to be more time at the eye doctor's appointment. I'm back. I'm sitting in the dark because I have my pupils dilated, so I hope they don't look creepy. You know how they get creepy looking? Which is why I don't have any eye makeup on or anything. But anyhow, okay. All right, so thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience. If you're joining me, say hi, let me know. And let's see here. I am just double checking. Hang on, I want to see that. Okay, I'm going to see. All right, so this whole month, I'm doing kind of real talk on digital business. And you know what? Can you hang on 1 second? I forgot my coffee in the other room. I'm right, like 1 second, 1 second. Good gravy. I am not organized. Back 1 second. Come on. All right, we got it. We got the coffee. Thank you. All right, I see folks joining. Just going to see here. All right. All right. So this whole month, I'm doing kind of what I'm calling real talk on starting an online business because a lot has really changed, to be honest. And it used to be a lot more complicated, a lot more everything, and it just isn't as complicated anymore. And so today I want to talk about how we can start our online business risk-free. I know a lot of people come on, like when you come into this group, you know, you answer like what's your biggest challenge, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of times the comment is around like money or investment to get started. And quite frankly, it's pretty minimal. It's pretty minimal. The largest risk involved in starting a digital business, honestly, is mindset, emotional. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Last week, we took a little detour and talked about AI a little bit, so you'll have the replay here. And the first week, I talked about just like the literal steps to starting your digital business, so you can find that replay too. But I do want to talk about how to start risk-free. And there's a couple things we need to keep in mind when starting a digital business. One, as my friend, there's a gal on here that I have followed for a long time. Her name is Bushra Azar, really great businesswoman. And as she says, money loves speed. And what she means by that is you have to act quickly, whereas most people tend to, we all want to get our ducks in a row and make sure this is in place and this is in place and this is in place. And actually in the digital business space, it's kind of the opposite. We want to get going and test it. See what's going on. So how do you do that? Basically, what you need to do is just kind of choose your business idea quickly, choose your niche quickly, and come up with your very first, very, very simple product idea. And when I say simple product idea, it's going to be like an e-guide, a PDF of some sort, because what we need to do quickly is to get into the online space and start talking about our niche or topic and starting to build a small audience. That's really the key. And where people get tripped up is it's the, you know, which came first, the chicken or the egg. I need to start an online business to have an audience, but I really need an audience to have an online business, and around we go. So I have people start with just a really simple digital product. Choose your business niche quickly. And when I say niche, like we need to get into an area. Like it, you can't be deciding between like bookkeeping and pet grooming, right? Like we need to pick a lane. We need to pick a lane, but it's okay if you don't specifically know yet like 100% where you're going to land within that topic, because your first product within a category is really going to be a first step for somebody, like the most basic step if they were coming into the same business area, if that makes sense. And I'm just going to double check. I see people here live, but I'm not seeing you on my computer as always. Okay. All right. I see Sonia. Okay. And I hope my eyeballs don't look crazy, because they are totally, I'm sitting here in the dark. My pupils are so dilated. But the good news is I don't have a retinal tear. I'm just getting old, according to the doctor. That was not her exact words, but pretty much. So that's good. So we need to get into the business space. So what I mean by like a first step into your topic or your niche would be, what would be a first step into something? And we want to be super narrow. So for example, I use this analogy all the time. You're not going to teach people how to bake bread, because there's 500 types of bread, blah, blah. You want to teach people how to make like the perfect sourdough starter. The goal with your first product is not empire building. It's to get you in the mix, to start the conversation with potential audience members, and then you will kind of get feedback from them and go from there. So that's what I say, money loves speed, because we want to get in there and start building an audience as quickly as possible, even if it's tiny, even if it's like 10 people, because that's where you'll start to get some momentum. Sonia says, oh, you can't tell. Okay, I feel like my pupils are like that. Thank you though. So that's what I mean. We want to get in quickly. Now let's talk about investment, because your first product, I start super simple. Like I would say go into a Google Doc or Microsoft Word. You're going to create your first quote product, a simple PDF of some sort. You can go, if you want to get fancy, you can go into Canva and create like a nice cover for it, put them together, save it as a PDF, and boom, you have your first product. That is the tangible thing that's going to let you come be online, talking, building this first initial audience to kind of start the conversation. And how you're going to sell that is, so when I say things have changed a lot, like when I started 7-8 years ago, it was very much like you need the big website, you need the big tools like that are going to give you like a digital storefront. It was very complicated and very expensive. Now there is more of what they call a creator economy, and what they mean by that are just like everyday people getting into the online space. It's not necessarily like creatives, like maker type, artist type. It's just creators in general. And so there are tools, like I recommend StanStore is an incredible tool. And StanStore is $29 a month, no long-term commitment. It's $99 a month if you want like the full-on email workflows and sequences and everything, which you do not need in the very beginning, but for $29. So that is your out-of-pocket expense, so to speak, when you are just starting out. So the financial risk is really not there anymore. Like it used to be. Like I started with a product called Kajabi, which is a wonderful product, but it's very complicated. It's complicated to set up. Even if they tell you it's not, it is. It is complicated to set up. And so, all right, now I have to take my sweater off because now I'm hot. Now I'm hot. We had 33 degrees this morning and now I'm hot. Okay. I wanted sweater weather, so this is all my doing. But anyhow, so $29 is, I think somebody just joined the group today that was asking about like the financial investment to get started. And that's it, literally. Like your time to create your first product. It's more of a mindset issue because in the beginning, we always want all of our ducks in a row and we want our first product to be perfect, which neither are possible, right? Neither are possible. Your first product, of course, will not be perfect. What I always say to my audience, Your first product is your first. It won't be your last, and it certainly won't be your best, but it's going to get you in the conversation, right? It will never be perfect. And as for having all your ducks in a row, you just won't. You just won't. Like, you won't have, when you start, you're starting from scratch. Like, you have no audience, you have, no validated products. You're really kind of coming out here like, hey, this is what I got. Who wants to talk to me? And that's okay, because that works in this online space. We just have to get past the mindset of it, because that feels awkward and counterintuitive, and we definitely want like all of our ducks in a row, which they will never be in a row. So we almost have to just find like a little bit of courage just to go out there and do it. So the risk-free process, honestly, is just the way that it's done now. Like, you don't need a big website to get started. In fact, I would highly recommend against it, unless you really know your audience and you really know exactly what they want. Like, you've been doing this maybe on ground somehow, that you can translate that. But if you are starting from scratch, you don't know what kind of messaging is going to resonate with your people. You don't know what specifically they're going to need and which direction you're going to go. So taking time to build a big website is going to be incredibly expensive, like usually around $5,000. Or you can use like templates and whatnot, which are great, like in a Kajabi, but they are never out of the box ready. They always need tweaking. They always need setting up. They always need, so you're going to be dropping a couple grand at least on something that you may set up wrong the first time, because you just don't know and have enough information. So you don't have to have a big website. Again, I wouldn't even recommend that in the beginning. And you don't have to be running ads. Hey, Pam, good morning. It's similar concept to the website. In the very beginning, if you're just, here I am starting from scratch, you just don't know enough about what you're doing to really, unless you have money to burn, in which case, go for it, then run ads. But ads are a wonderful thing. They're incredibly, it's an incredible way to gain a lot of visibility and a lot of traction, but you really need to know your audience well enough to be able to target them with ads, right? And so in the beginning, again, I don't recommend it. And ads are complex to set up and monitor every day. I don't do my own ads because it makes me nuts. Like, I'm not a numbers person and a spreadsheet person. Like, it gives me angst. So when I'm doing ads, I run them through an agency, which is not cheap. So you also have to be, at least at a place in your business where you're generating cash flow that you can invest money in ads, and it's worthwhile. But you don't need to do that from the beginning. In the beginning, where you're going to be, what you're going to be spending is time. Time is what you're really going to be spending. And if you want to, like, no risk, you're going to use a tool like StanStore, $29 a month. StanStore, you can sell any type of digital product. And then and so by digital, I mean like PDF files, something that can be delivered, a product based in email, a video recorded course that somebody would come watch your video. You can do live workshops. You can do subscription and membership type products on Stan. It's not set up for physical products. However, if you have physical products in addition, you can just use, they have like a unique URL type product that would send people maybe to your Shopify shop or something. But StanStore is literally adequate. It's great for your digital storefront. It's kind of magical, actually. It will take you maybe an hour to set up. So you don't need even a custom domain. You don't need any of that fancy pants stuff like redirecting and verifying records, all that stuff. You don't need that. You literally go in, you choose your colors, you choose your theme, you choose your font, and you create a product. And you then go to PayPal and or Stripe, set up your professional account, which you can do with just a social security number. You don't even have to have an LLC, although I definitely recommend like that you're legal as a business, etc. And you go to Stan and you hook the two together, like they literally walk you through it, and you're literally ready to take money from people then. And so you create a product, you upload it, and off you go, right? So that is one very risk-free way, because it's 29 bucks, no long-term contract, so it doesn't work out, you're out 29 bucks, right? Pam says, do you know of an Etsy alternative? I can't seem to find anything like it for physical product fulfillment. If you're talking about like shipping on demand, I mean like print on demand, obviously there are a lot of print on demand companies that do the fulfillment for you, t-shirts, that type of thing. But physical product, similar for a lot of physical products, Amazon will do fulfillment for you. But you can also do like Shopify, if you have fulfillment from somewhere or fulfillment yourself. No physical products you have in your hands and want to sell and ship myself. Yeah, if you don't want to sell and ship yourself, then you need to do like anything print on demand, which is often like t-shirts, journals, notebooks, mouse pads, things like that. And there's a lot of them. There's so many, I can't even think of one. Printify. If it's something like print on demand you're interested in, check out my friend Mae C, Mae Cee. She does t-shirts, but she also teaches print on demand and that type of thing. Yeah, Etsy has a lot of built-in traffic. Yeah, if you're looking for that type of, if you want a platform that has built-in traffic as opposed to generating your own traffic, which I personally would recommend. You know me, I'm always like, if you're gonna do it for yourself. Etsy is very much, it's like any platform. It's, and I've not used Etsy, but from what I've learned, it's pay to play. You know, they'll give you traffic, but you're still doing like the SEO, the keywords. You will pay to be at the front of the line. Quantity will matter, how much you show up, just like you do anywhere. My suggestion is always, if you're going to go that route, why not take the effort to, start building an audience on social media and sending them directly to your Shopify store or, Printify, or, like your Printify, if you're going to do print on demand, or to your, to wherever. Because the challenge, like when you get on apps like with Etsy, which of course is, it's a big, huge app. They do have a monopoly. They have a monopoly on that, and they really dictate what happens to their sellers. And I hear often about, oh, I showed up and I was making $10,000 a month and Etsy shut my shop down. Boom. Boom, because they have deemed it potentially fraudulent or whatever. So you really kind of put a lot of trust in platforms like that. So I don't, even if you're going to use like an Etsy, I would not put all of my eggs in that basket. Similar to, don't just rely on social media for your marketing. Try to get people onto your email list as well when you're at that point that you can collect customer information so that you're not beholden to people. Yeah, Etsy shut your shop down because your account was hacked and you can't get it back. Yeah, and that's going to be a challenge with any large platform. You could do better, like if you're selling like I have a TikTok shop that I sell t-shirts that are print on demand. And now I don't really market that. I haven't done much with it, but that's an option. But if you want to talk about selling online, go check out my friend Mae C. I think her group is called Graphic Tee Academy, GTA, but she does more than just t-shirts. But she's an absolute genius at the on-demand selling. So she would definitely be able to help you more. And she has like a TikTok shop academy. She does print on demand, and she herself prints she does on demand for me when I sell t-shirts. The two t-shirts I sold last year, she's fulfilled those. I'm joking. Like that's not my main thing. But yeah, if you want to do that. And Stan Store is not really equipped for physical products yet. However, a lot of people who are on Stan Store, they'll have some digital products. maybe templates or stuff like that that they can deliver digitally. And then if they also have physical products, there's just an opportunity to link to wherever you want it to go, to a website, to a Shopify, to a, wherever you need to go. Yeah, that's May. Yeah, Merch by May. She's fabulous. Tell her I sent you. She's a good friend of mine. Super duper gal. Very, very smart lady, especially in this on-demand world that tends to change very quickly. So the risk, like I said, is more mindset, because you don't need a website. You just need a stand store for digital products. $29 a month. That's hardly gonna, bankrupt you, right? Should it go south. $99 if you want the full-on product. And what you're really going to spend is time, because, to be honest, the name of the game is visibility, unless you want to start dropping a lot of money on ads, which, and again, like in the beginning, it's just it's challenging because you just don't know enough about your people, your products, your messaging, all the things to really, get bang for your buck in terms of ads. So it's going to be showing up on social media, showing up consistently. That is the absolute key. You've got to feed the algorithm, and it takes time to find the right audience. It just takes time. So it's a time thing. Now, like when I say you show up every day, a couple times a day on the platform of your choice, you can batch content. So it's not like, oh, it's 3:00 on Wednesday, I've got to be online. You can do that, but you can batch things as well. But it's literally a visibility game. And where people kind of get tripped up is the no man's land. We've talked about it. You show up, you have your brand new product, you're excited, but you're new to everything, so you're not sure what you're saying, you're a little nervous showing up, and you come across the no man's land that nobody's listening, nobody's paying attention, and we don't know how long that lasts, is the problem. The key is you just got to keep going. You got to pretend that there's people there watching, and eventually there will be. As an example, I have been really pushing myself onto TikTok lately, wanting to get just more traction on TikTok, because I really like that platform. Oh, hang on, my phone's ringing. It's a political call. We're not going to answer that. There's only a few more weeks. So I've really been pushing myself on TikTok, and I wasn't getting a whole lot of traction by just posting videos. I'm growing slowly, but I decided to start doing TikTok lives like most every morning. I call it Coffee with Colleen. This morning I went on like at 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. because I had to go to the eye doctor. And I wound up with 300 people. Yeah, 19 days. Hey, Marlene, 19 days, thank God. But who's counting, right? So anyhow, so all that to say, like the first 2 weeks that I was going like TikTok live, 1 or 2 people would join and then they'd leave. And then you're just like, you're talking to yourself. So you just have to be prepared for that. But then like the last few weeks, it's really picking up a lot of traction. So like in the morning now, like I said this morning, I had several hundred people like viewing at any given time, and a lot of people joining and having a conversation. And so you just have to stick it out until people start showing up. And it's a lot of testing. It's a lot of trying different messages and trying to say things different ways and all the things. And then you will get traction. So the risk is your time and your pride, really. You just got to keep showing up, even when people aren't there. So the financial risk, which used to be the bigger one, just really isn't anymore. That is just not in the digital space. Like I would never recommend you go build some 18 module course and all that before testing it. Start with a tiny digital product, build an audience, and then go from there. So the risk is really minimal, except that it's mindset risk is the challenge. And we don't realize, nobody really talks about like how much you have to keep showing up, and the consistency in order to start getting traction. Because we see these people that break out, like the unicorns, that all of a sudden they have like 100,000 viewers or whatever it is, like the unicorns, which just is not, that doesn't happen for 99% of us. 99% of us, we just got to go do the work. We got to show up. So people don't talk about that. So when you get into it, it's like, what? Nobody said this was going to happen. So that's more of the risk, is you got to show up, you got to keep showing up, and you have that. So you're going to start really small. You will scale later when you have data. When you have data. You're going to use really inexpensive tools like a Stand Store. Another thing I love about Stand Store is, besides it being incredibly easy to set up, it's incredibly easy to manage, in the sense that when you go to create, quote, a sales page, or what they call a checkout page for your product, it's basically just copy, or you can create some images in Canva if you want to fancy it up a bit, and you put it in there. But it's not like some of these big, long, like mile-long sales pages we've all seen, where you're scrolling and there's flying arrows and all that kind of stuff. It's very simple and I don't want to say bare bones. It does the job. Like it does the job. And so you have a lot less upfront work, because I've done sales pages before for products that are like that I have built, and I have copy written, and then I have the sales page designed, and you're talking thousands of dollars and months of work. Now this is after you're in the game a bit, but it's a lot. So to be able just to show up and write your sales page and it's live, and say, hey, go to my Stand Store, is really kind of refreshing. It's really kind of refreshing. And one thing that, this is kind of getting in the weeds, but like what a lot of people in the industry are talking about for like now in 2025 is people want to get back to more human, real connections. Like blogging is making a huge resurgence, because it's more storytelling and more of that. So blogging is making a huge resurgence. Something like a Stand Store that is a little bit more plain Jane, less whistles and bells, it's just a little bit like, it's kind of refreshing. Like there's just not all the stuff flying at you. And I think people are really craving that. And that's kind of the buzz in the industry, is, humanizing your marketing and that kind of stuff. And Stand Store 100% does that. And then in terms of your marketing, excuse me, excuse me. In terms of your marketing, again, the cost is your time showing up. And what I always suggest is choose a platform and just go all in on that one platform. Try to pick the platform where you think your audience is. The most important thing is it's the platform that you are comfortable using and you will show up on regularly, because that is the key. Pam says, I was just watching a video yesterday about how people are craving raw and real content, not overly edited or generated. Yes, and I believe that's why TikTok is incredibly hot right now, because you literally turn your phone on, you talk, and you go. Yeah, you can use like some fun templates in CapCut or whatever, but for the most part, my TikTok lives in the morning, I'm in my PJs. It's coffee with Colleen. It's before I've even showered, so viewer beware. But you get real conversations. I think we're kind of circling back to that. I was talking with a friend yesterday. We were catching up. We've been in the space a long time, and she's actually Latvian, so she speaks Russian. She's American. She's lived everywhere. She's back in the States now, but she's been in Europe. Her husband is Italian. Anyhow, blah, blah, blah. She was saying, we were talking about this resurgence of blogging and how people like like in Russia and Europe and Asia, these like grassroots blogs are just taking off, similar to like social media influencers that take off and become kind of famous in their own right. And the thought is like the old-fashioned blogging, when you think about it, it was just somebody with their keyboard writing about something they loved, and like they told stories and they sold things, and it's just much more accessible and human, and it's in your inbox. And so there's that resurgence to think about, which I think is why like newsletters, like paid newsletters and free, like I have my Gumption Gazette. I think there's a resurgence of those because it's almost like when we went back to snail mail for a while, like snail mail became a thing again. And so I think blogging is like the snail mail, like it's coming around again, but definitely more humanistic, trying to recreate more like almost like face-to-face interactions, even if it is virtually. Like even I attended a program a couple weeks ago, and the gal, she was out in LA, but she was in like a studio, like she had gone to like this studio place. And so while we connected via Zoom, like the effects that they were able to do, and they had sent like a box in advance. So you're on Zoom, but everybody like has their gifts and their this and, their presents. And it was just much more of like a in real life experience, even though it was virtual. So I think that's really coming back around, which I'm glad for that. Like I'm very glad for that. But as for the risk, your marketing cost is showing up. It's just showing up and trying to be as strategic about it as you can, which I know in the beginning, your strategy is just to show up as much as possible, talk about your topic, your thing in as many ways possible, and start to see what sticks, literally. Like it's not any more scientific than that. Like if you like say, I'm going to show up every day on Instagram and I'm going to try this message and this message, and then at the end of the month you look like which video had the most views, then you're like, okay, I'm going to go do more of those. That's as scientific really as you need to get, is just kind of watch it. But in the beginning, your strategy is just show up as much as you humanly can, get comfortable being on social media, get comfortable. If you're comfortable on video, it's the easiest format to make. Literally, you turn your phone on, you talk, you go, you're done. And I know that not everybody's comfortable with that. Try to get comfortable with it, and show up, and that's really your risk. So I think the biggest risk of all, besides there's no money risk, the mindset risk, obviously your ego, your pride, all of that kind of stuff. The biggest risk is giving up too soon, before you have gotten any kind of traction, because then you don't know. Was it because I gave up too soon? Was it because of the messaging? Was it because maybe the product didn't hit? You don't know. And then that'll be like that lingering question. What was it? So you just show up. And not like we've talked a lot about, I always say get fancy later. Get fancy later. It's not the fancy video camera. It's not the fancy PowerPoint presentations. It's not. It's the information that you're providing and sticking to it. And just being there long enough for people to find you and see you. And that's how you start at risk-free. Another thing, like don't quit your day job. If you have a day job, don't quit your day job thinking that this is going to happen overnight, because that is also quite the unicorn myth. It takes a while to get traction. It takes a while to figure out how to do all the things and how long things take you and that kind of thing. It just takes you a while. And so be prepared for the long term. Be prepared that you're not going to be rolling in the dough overnight, and that your income level, will correlate precisely to, your level of commitment and time showing up. And then obviously as your audience grows, boom, boom, boom. And then of course, once you start there, then you have some income coming in. You can start looking at Facebook ads or Meta ads or whatever, because that will get you traction much more quickly. That'll help you get bigger and scale more, but you have to have some starting point. Like just doing it from scratch just isn't a great idea unless, like I said, you have money to burn. Which if you do, send it my way. I'll burn it for you. So there's that. How are my eyes looking? Are they came from? Oh, they're still really dilated. I came from the eye doctor this morning because there was concern that I had torn a retina, but apparently I'm just getting old. So there's that. That was good news from the doctor. I do not have money to burn. Yeah, none of us do. None of us do. So that is really how it's risk-free. It's not a financial risk, which most people think. It's a stamina. It's really stamina and mindset. You have to go into it like, this is long term. It's not going to hit right away. That's okay. I got to keep talking. I got to keep talking. I got to keep talking. So for example, by TikTok lives, I'm doing because I am creating I am creating a new product that is going to be some type of a recurring revenue product. What that looks like, I don't 100% know yet, but I'm using the audience that I have already built on TikTok, and I'm coming on and I'm talking about it. So I'm able to get feedback from actual audience people, right? And so that's another thing when you start to build your business and you have a bit of an audience, then you have some place to go to start tossing out new ideas, or if I change my product, you have the feedback coming to you. You have the feedback coming to you. And so you just have to get past the initial phase and get into the momentum part. It just takes a while. It just takes a while. So there's that. All right. So that is, so far, I'm looking at my notes. We did the actual steps to start your digital business. That was week 1 in October. You'll see the replay here. Last week we detoured and talked about AI because, oh my God, I am getting into AI. I have gone down the rabbit hole of custom GPTs. It's amazing. It's a rabbit hole. It's a rabbit hole. And this week was about how to start risk-free. Next week, I'm just looking at my notes, how to keep your sanity during the process, which will probably be very similar to today's talk. You just got to keep doing. You just got to keep going. And then the last in the series is what can your online business really look like? Because the sky is kind of the limit, and you need to have some kind of vision up front of if you want it to be part-time, full-time, all the things up front, so you know kind of where you're going and what level of commitment is going to be required. So that's this month. Let's see, Pam says, using market research to iterate your product ideas by simply talking to your audience. Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's why it's important to build your preliminary audience and start, selling to them and getting feedback. And it's also why it's really, really important, and I talk about this, in my Pilot to Profit program. You are not your customer. We think we are, and we often create products as if we are the customer, but you actually are a future version of your customer. And so it's really important we talk to actual audience people to see where they are, if that makes sense. So like one thing I have found just on TikTok lately, talking there all the time. I was talking about digital products. Somebody was like, what's a digital product? And I'm like, see? They don't know what a digital product is. I'm like steps ahead, totally fine. I have to shift my messaging to be like, hey, do you want to make money online? Do you have a hobby or a skill or an interest that you'd like to turn somehow into something you can make money online with? Yes, okay. Well, that's a digital product. Oh, okay. So I was ahead of the game. I was putting the cart before the horse, but sometimes your audience has to mirror that back to you. And we have to be like, oh, yeah, okay. I got ahead of myself here. I got way ahead of myself. It's really easy. It's the curse of the competent. We talk a lot about it in my Pilot to Profit program. It's the curse of the competent. You've been doing something so long. It's second nature to you, the jargon, the everything. And it's hard to come back as a beginner. with fresh eyes from scratch. So talking to your audience is always important because they will tell you, if you listen, they will tell you what's what about your products and what they might need, where they want to go. And then, of course, it's up to you to decide if that's the direction you want to go in, or do you need a different audience? I mean, there's always that option as well. Maybe you decide, like maybe your product is geared towards absolute beginners, like mine is. Mine is like no experience necessary. But maybe in 5 years, I'm like, oh, I only want to work with super experienced business owners. I'd have to change my messaging, right? So that I'm not attracting beginners. It's just, that's up to you to decide who you want to work with. But your messaging has to reflect that, and your products have to reflect that as well. So there's that. Oh, my eyes feel so fun. I'm sitting here in the dark. I have my shades shut and everything. And I have the screen on my computer turned way down because I was like blinded by it when they dilate your pupils. So that's where we are. That is where we are. If you're watching the replay, of course, act as if it's live and you can put any questions. I know we had a bunch of people join the group just today, which happens. I send emails out and it works. People join. So, note to self, Colleen, be more consistent with your emails. Yeah, if you're watching the replay, ask questions or whatever, and I will get notified, and we can have the conversation. And we'll be back here next week again, 10 a.m. Central Time, where we'll be talking about, I always say sanity, but I think it's really about managing expectations and managing your energy around when you're starting the business, because I see it over and over. It happens to me all the time, where there's so much noise online. We get all the marketing, like just create a product in Canva, just make $20,000, like just pour me, a glass of milk. And it's so deceptive, but we kind of internalize that. And then when we start, it doesn't happen that way. And we're like, oh, it's my fault. Must be, and it's not. It's not. So I think it's really about managing expectations and being realistic and understanding that you're going to need the stamina to be in it for the long haul. So what does that need to look like for you and your energy, right? Because we're all in different places in our life at any given time. And it's important to manage your energy around that so that you can keep going. So like when I say show up online as much as you can consistently, if that's 3 times a day, 7 days a week for you, great. If it's not, that's okay. That's okay. We just need to know that might be a longer runway then, right? But showing up consistently will be better than showing up, not showing up, showing up, not showing up. So when we talk about like your sanity, it's really going to be around managing your energy and managing expectations also, because a lot of the noise we see out there, these people that have made like so much money, they've either come with a massive audience or there's always more to the story, right? There's always more to the story. So we never see the people starting like from scratch. So we're going to talk about that. And if you're interested at all, TikTok, I'm doing a lot over on TikTok just because I'm trying to grow that audience as well. And I'm really enjoying TikTok. I don't know if any of you all are on, well, Pam, you're on TikTok, aren't you? I think Pam is on TikTok. I'm really enjoying it as an app. It's very interesting. It's very different than Facebook or Instagram in the way that the algorithm works. So you are basically fed content kind of randomly, and they see what sticks and they feed you more of that. So you can get some really interesting content put in front of you that you wouldn't have found it otherwise necessarily. Pam says, you're inspiring me to get over myself and just start doing live. Yeah. And if you're going to do it on TikTok, by the way, if you go to TikTok Live and go to settings, you can go into practice mode, which I recommend, because TikTok Lives, when you go live, there's a whole bunch of shit on your screen. Like there's GIFs and roses and there's all sorts of shit on your screen, and it's like a little disorienting at first. So I definitely recommend the practice mode just so you can see all what's going on. But you get, the way the algorithm works, you get interesting things across your feed that you wouldn't have found otherwise. Whereas, Meta, it's basically who you follow, and they're going to share more of that or like that. So you're not necessarily getting like randomized content and finding new things. And there's a lot of, like Marlene, I don't know if you're still here, Marlene. There's a guy on TikTok who does, what is his name? He does a sewing zine, like Z-I-N-E, like a magazine. What is his name? Hang on. Let me find the sewing guy. He does fun content, and he just gets on and talks about sewing. Like, he came across my feed. What's his name now? I might have to find his name. So if you're looking for a place just to kind of show up and start talking about your thing, let's see if I can find it. Sewing zine. He's kind of a fun guy. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is him. Hang on. Videos. What's his name? Garbie. Garbie. Garbie has 215,000 followers. That's me blinking. And he does, because I don't know if Marlene's still here, because I know she does a sewing product. And he literally just shows up like with his microphone and just talks about sewing. He doesn't always even, sometimes he shows things, he demonstrates, but not always. He just talks about sewing. Just start. Sewing is resilience. Anyhow, but he created these tiny little zines, these print things that are PDFs, and he's selling those like hotcakes over there. Talk about a great digital product. So I am like a huge fan of TikTok. I know I keep talking about it, but it's I think for especially a beginner, if you want to start practicing video and all that, I would say TikTok, because TikTok is meant to be just raw. Turn your phone on and start doing your thing. And I think the algorithm is interesting over on TikTok, because you'll get people sent to you that you wouldn't necessarily have found on other platforms. And so, and I will do like videos that I'll post on TikTok, and then I'll go post on Instagram. And TikTok, they'll get crazy views, and then Instagram will get like 5. So there's that. Let's see, is that him? Tanner Frost Bowen. Is that Garbie? Could be. I'm looking. No. Oh yeah, that is him. That is him. Garbie. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And he came across my feed one day, and I follow him like he's interesting. He's an interesting guy, and the way he does content is interesting. Because he often does it like almost like a newscast, like he has his microphone in front of him and he's talking about sewing, and he's definitely like for beginners, like helping beginners, and it's just an interesting way of doing things. But yeah, so anyhow, that's my ad for TikTok. If it's for a beginner, I think it's a really great place to start, because it's not meant to be fancy and polished and all of that. So there's that. So with that, ladies, I will thank you for joining me, and I apologize I was late this morning. I will see you next week. I'll see you over on TikTok. I'll see you here. I'll see you in email, all the good things. If you're watching the replay, definitely just act like we're live, and if you have any questions or comments, I will get notified and come answer them, and I will see you all here online. All right, have a great day. Cheers. Bye-bye.